I gotta ask you a question that's been bothering me. I need you to really think about it. We've all seen the pictures. We've all read the stories about the Middle Passage and the enslavement of our people. But have you ever stopped and just asked yourself, how? Like really, how? How did they actually do it? We're talking about massive deep sea voyages 400 years ago. And I gotta emphasize 400 years ago, because not only was this 400 years ago, it was done with no engines, no GPS, no fucking modern equipment whatsoever, because it was 400 years ago. Just wooden boats and wind. Now you know me. I'm not just gonna take anyone's word for it. I want to look at it, how the world really works. And when you start to look at it, and look at the ocean and how the physics of it actually behaves, things start getting real suspicious. Really fishy. Really complicated. And not in a good way. They talk about the massive movement of people, a constant flow across thousands of miles of open water. But I find it very surprising that nobody talks about the actual logistics. Nobody talks about the mechanics. And the more and more I think about it, have you ever heard of the doldrums? Or the Sargasso Sea? Because when I think back all throughout my years of social studies and history class, I never heard these two words. No. And they don't tell you about that in the mainstream world of professionals, because that will expose them. But you gotta ask yourself, what will it expose? Because these aren't just names on the map. These are real places in the ocean where there's no wind. The air just sits there. If a wooden sailing ship, but we're gonna call them by the real name because they tell us they ships, but they actually boats, powered by nothing but the wind, got stuck in one of those little spots in the sea, they could be stuck there for weeks. Think about that. 400 years ago, with no modern technology, stuck in the middle of an ocean because all they have is sails, wooden boats. What about the water? Where are you getting enough fresh water for hundreds of people on the boat for months, including the crew? And what about the food? How do you keep it from spoiling? Nobody ever thought about that because ain't no refrigerators and none of that shit. And these are tropic temperatures. If you're stuck in the Sargasso Sea, you're not just sailing, you fucking stuck. Your supplies are running out. And need I remind you again, this is 400 fucking years ago. And you have nowhere to go. And they want us to just believe this was just a simple, systematic crossing that worked perfectly thousands of times. You know I ain't no motherfucking idiot, right? You know I ain't no goofy either. And you know that's one thing I pride myself on, is peeping a play. And this is definitely a play. Now for the ones who say I just bumped my motherfucking gums, let's look at the actual physics of buoyancy and displacement. This is grade A engineering, and you can't fake this shit. Ain't no faking. Look at the math. A standard wooden boat back then was maybe 150, 200 tons. That sounds big until you realize that 1 gallon of water weighs 8.34 pounds. If you have 400 people, and let's just use that number, on a boat, and they each need just a half a gallon, a day. Not much, you know, because these are very hot temperatures, you know, but just a half a gallon a day to not drop dead in the sun. You are carrying hundreds, thousands of pounds just in water. That doesn't include the weight of the massive oak barrels, the food, the crew, or the ship itself. And they never explained this. And all of this took place 400 years ago. With no modern technology, there was no engines, just wooden boats, no navigations, nothing. When you add all that and weigh it up, the ship sinks lower and lower due to the weight. And it's gonna sink into the fucking ocean. There is a physical limit called the plimsoll line. If you go below that line, the ship loses its self-righting ability. 1 10-foot wave, which is nothing, in the Atlantic, and that ship rolls over and never comes back up. So ask yourself, why is it that the official boat manifests show numbers that would have been physically put those ships underwater before they even left the fucking dock? Why do the records describe something that would require a modern engine to maintain against those 2-knot counter currents? The archaeology of the earth and the physics of the water don't lie. The land here in America shows ancient cities and mounds that have been here for thousands of years, built by the same people they claim were shipped. They had to invent the Middle Passage because they couldn't explain how a massive, advanced, dark-skinned population was already ruling the Holy Land. And when they got here, they used the ocean as something I would like to call a boogeyman, the same with that God in the sky bullshit. But the maritime physics proves that the ocean was actually a wall they couldn't climb. You weren't the cargo. You were the richest target of a massive identity theft. Look at the science itself. Just prove me wrong. There are these giant swirling currents in the ocean called gyres. They're like massive conveyor belts. They also pull things into their calm center. To make that crossing, you will have to navigate with perfect precision. You would have to thread the needle to stay in the current and not get pulled into the stagnant center. Do you really believe they had that kind of technology before we had accurate clocks? Before we could even calculate longitude? They were just guessing they fucking way across an ocean with thousands of people, and yet they somehow got it right every fucking time. They got it right every single time, and that don't seem strange to you? And then you look at the records themselves. You look at the ship manifest. Some of these boats, they said, were packed with people. Mathematically, and we all know math don't lie unless you got a lying motherfucker doing the math. But mathematically, they shouldn't have even been able to fucking float, man. Let alone survive an Atlantic storm in a fucking boat. If you put that many people in a hold of a ship that sits too low in the water, the first big wave, and boom. They're going to be trying to send a search and rescue mission and hope they lucky. Because that motherfucker going down. The physics just don't add up. And I just say, prove me wrong. And it's not just the water. It's the ground you're standing on. When you look at the actual archaeology and the makeup of the earth, everything shows that this land is the oldest. The ancient structures, the mounds, and the very soil itself support the fact that civilization started right here. Not where they told you. Not where they told all of us. But it started right here. The physical evidence of the earth proves we're already home. Here's what I'm putting to you. According to the physics, and the way the world actually works, listen to me closely, please. The whole middle passage in enslavement story, it could not be the whole story, and it could not be possible according to the way the ocean works, physics, and technology. It doesn't support the story. What if the real movement wasn't people coming to America, but people being legally reclassified within America and was shipped out? Because the information on how the oceans actually work supports what I'm saying. What if that import label was just a little fake, clever way for them to strip our people of our identity and our land? I'm telling you this because the physics of it just doesn't work. And I want you to prove me wrong. And we're talking about something that took place 400 years ago. The engineering of that time just doesn't support the story we have been told. And it's time to demand answers. Because they lied to our people and they played our people. And everybody should be outraged by this. This is only part one of my little mini series on this, because this is very important. Because we have to break down the lies, layer by layer. We're going to get into the records and the real reasons they needed to hide your roots. This is the start of a journey to get back to the truth, which is all I want. And that is that America is the Holy Land, and you are already here. I need you to hit like, share, repost, follow, comment. Send this to everyone you know who has been asking the same questions I do. Why? Their history doesn't make sense. We need to make this go viral because the truth is hidden in plain sight. And all these so-called educated people fail to fucking explain this. I ain't no motherfucking expert. I'm just a person who diligently seek the truth. It's like they be counting on us, not knowing certain shit, because that's how they keep pulling shit over on us. And this is why I say the only curse our people face is the lack of knowledge, man. Because that's the only way they can pull some shit over on us like this. Because think about, come on, man. Our people are not a weak people. But like I say, I'm not just talking. If you think I'm wrong, I want to hear it. Prove me. Don't hurl no insults. Let's really talk about this. Prove me wrong. Show me the mechanics. Show me how a wooden sailing boat with no longitude could guarantee that crossing with that volume of people. Show me the supplies list. Show me the physics that says that was even possible back then. Because if you can't, then we need to have a real conversation about who my people is and where we actually came from. But stay tuned for part 2 because we just getting started. Man, I got some shit for y'all. Like, share, follow, subscribe, because we finna go crazy.